Hello everyone, Mr. G here, thanking you so much for 150 subscribers. This is this is truly great. I thank you guys so much for this. And to celebrate this momentous occasion, I'll be doing a retrospective of one of my favorite games from my youth, the Zoo Tycoon series. Starting, of course, with the first game. Zoo Tycoon was released in 2001 for PC. In this game, you build a zoo and have to keep both your guests and animals happy or they'll complain. That's basically the gist of it. There are two main modes in this game. Scenarios where you have to complete certain tasks, usually within a time limit, like running a successful zoo, making specific animals happy, or making a certain amount of money. There's freeform games where you have no rules, and you basically just run a zoo and try not to go bankrupt. It's basically the sandbox mode that basically every simulation game has. I've never really cared for campaign modes in these kinds of games. I find them to be pretty boring and limiting, so I'm pretty much only talking about the freeform modes in this video. In freeform, you still technically have a budget, but if you hold down Shift and 4, aka the $sign, your money will increase for as long as you hold it down. The only downside is that any fence you have will break, but to get around this, just do it before you build anything. So now you're in the game. What can you do? Well, you can either add exhibits, buildings, or decorations. Decorations are pretty much only there to look pretty, but the buildings are important to make sure your guests don't get angry. You gotta build both bathrooms and restaurants to keep them satisfied, and trash cans so they don't litter on the ground. Also, you can actually name guests in this game, and if you make their name certain phrases, interesting things will happen. If you name a guest Mr. Blue, everyone's shirt color will become blue. If you name a guest Stinky, guests near them will throw up, etc., etc. Anyways, in addition to the previously mentioned restrooms and bathrooms, you can also have gift shops, which, nothing is complete without, like real life, I guess. And animal houses for animals that are smaller than the sprite size would allow, like reptile and monkey houses. Then we got the meat of this game, the animals. In the base game, we have 47 animals, although you don't get to use them all right away, as they're only unlocked when your zoo is a certain age, while others are unlocked by spending money to research them. The animals in the base game are, yes, I'm really doing this, African buffalo, African elephant, African lion, African warthog, no idea why they had to specify this since warthogs only live in Africa, but whatever, American bighorn sheep, American bison, Arctic wolf, Bengal tiger, black bears, black rhino, California sea lion, cheetah, chimpanzee, clouded leopard, common wildebeest, dromedary camel, emperor penguin, gemsbok, giant anteater, giant panda, giraffe, gray wolf, greater flamingo, grizzly bear, hippo, ibex, jaguar, leopard, lowland gorilla, mandrill, markhor, moose, okapi, olive baboon, ostrich, plain zebra, polar bear, red kangaroo, saltwater crocodile, Siberian tiger, snow leopard, spotted hyena, Thompson's gazelle, and white tigers. Even though those are Bengal tigers, not their own species, but whatever, they're considered different species in this game because why not? In addition, there are two secret animals that are unlocked by naming your exhibit certain thing. If you name an exhibit Xanadu, you get unicorns, and if you name an exhibit Cretaceous Corral, you get Triceratops. When you select an animal, you then gotta build it a proper home, aka make sure it's the right theme, make sure they have shelter, things like that. As for feeding, you gotta hire zookeepers. They're the ones in charge of taking care of animals and giving them food, stuff like that. Also, if an animal escapes, or maybe you place a guest in their exhibit, then they will attack. Although only carnivores can attack. Herbivores just refuse to. Even hippos, which are known for their aggression. They don't care about humans. So yeah, just gotta keep the zoo and guests happy. A few months later, we got the Dinosaur Digs expansion pack. As the name suggests, this pack adds in extinct animals. Mostly dinosaurs, but a few non-dinosaurians join the party as well. And these guys are Coelophysis, Herrerasaurus, sporting a snazzy zebra print. Allosaurus, Apatosaurus, Camptosaurus, Cardiopteryx, which they say is from the Jurassic, but it's from the Cretaceous. Kentrosaurus, Plesiosaurus, from the days when we thought they were amphibious and had to hold their necks like a swan. Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Iguanodon, Lambeosaurus with a weird-looking mouth, Spinosaurus with a megalosaur head, Styracosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, of course, Velociraptor, the giant turtle Mealonia, Smilodon, and woolly mammoths. In addition, there's a new secret animal. If you name an exhibit Supercroc, you unlock Dinosuchus. Things work a little differently in this pack. First of all, you get the dinosaurs from eggs that need to be hatched. And they're not raised by zookeepers, but rather by scientists. You can either wait for the eggs to hatch, or just do what I do and use the guest name Eggman, which makes eggs hatch instantly. Anyway, once they hatch, they need to grow up before they reach their true size. Also, because of their dinosaurian strength, you need special fencing, like electric or reinforced fences, to house them. Also, they can trample objects in their exhibit to turn to rubble. And if they escape, they destroy buildings, so that's fun. And a few months after that, we got Marine Mania, which allows you to make aquariums. And you can also put tanks in the exhibits of semi-aquatic animals. Our fishy friends joining us in this game include belugas, bluefin tuna, bottlenose dolphins, elephant seals, giant squid, great white sharks, green moray, which is given this scientific name Thoracida macrinus, even though that's a different species than the green moray, but whatever. Green sea turtles, great hammerheads, what they call harbor porpoises, but are clearly Dahl's porpoises, humpback whales, lion's mane jellyfish, manta rays, narwhals, orcas, Pacific octopi, Pacific walrus, short-finned mako, southern sea otter, sperm whales, tiger shark, and West Indian manatees. In addition, there's another new secret animal, but this time you don't get it by renaming. Rather, if you put the mermaid statue in a tank, you get a mermaid. Which just makes me think about the ethics of keeping humanoids in aquariums. Which is a thought I do not like thinking about, so let's just move on. In addition to tanks, there's also shows that your animals can put on. They're perform tricks, but I'm gonna be honest, I never use these because I don't believe in exploiting animals like that, even in video games. Also, instead of having fences deteriorate and eventually break, tanks instead become dirty, so you gotta clean them. Instead of zookeepers, you need marine specialists for the job. In addition to the expansion pack, several animals were released as DLC for the games, which were African wild dogs, Asian black bears, Asian elephants, Atlantic swordfish, black bucks, bongo antelope, gallimimus, megatherium, great barracuda, llamas, mountain lions, plateosaurus, reindeer, sable antelope, and the yeti. In addition, there was also a vote around this time to see which real zoo animal would be added to the game, and the winner is the now sadly deceased polar bear Magnet from the Baltimore Zoo. Let's be real, we all know who would win this contest nowadays. Why is 2016 almost 10 years old? I'm freaking out! In 2003, we got the complete collection, which fused all 3 games and all the downloads into one package, with the weird exception of the Sable Antelope for some reason, which you still have to download separately. But really, is anyone losing sleep over the Sable Antelope? Really? In addition, this collection also includes new animals that will later be released separately as the Endangered Species Pack. And they are Bigfoot, bowhead whales, Japanese serow, Javan rhinos, Komodo dragons, Loch Ness monster, Macrochinia, Malaysian tapirs, Mexican wolves, orangutans, Przewalski's wild horse, common sawfish, and whale sharks. So you have all these animals and now you just gotta keep them happy. Simple, right? Ha ha ha, yeah, no. Let's talk about my biggest issue with this game. How fickle the animals are. First off, to keep them happy, you need to give them plants, but not just any plants, only plants native to where they're from. Okay, that's not so bad. Also, they need rocks. Lots of rocks. Or big rock formations that take up a third of their cage. And they want multiples of them. Oh, and make sure you save room for shelters and toys. Oh, and some animals need elevation. I hope you know how to raise the ground only in their cage, unless you want an uneven ground all over your zoo. Oh, and something the game never tells you is that some animals hate if their exhibit is entirely see-through. So even if you do everything right, your animal will still be angry because people can see them. Ugh. You want to do combo exhibits of multiple animal species? Great! Hope you're ready to combine all their traits into one cage before making a borderline eyesore. And some of them, even ones that are contemporary, will hate each other for no reason and then get mad again. So yeah, this game is good for what it is, but actually trying to manage a zoo can be kind of a handful, especially since the game is always telling you that keeper can't reach exhibit despite literally nothing blocking it. Or that guests aren't happy because they decided to do something stupid instead of going to the bathroom, and they blame your zoo for the reason. Also, some animals in this game are very hard to see, especially after you fill their needs, which is sad because I want to see the guys and they're not letting me. This is especially a big problem with monkeys since they require a lot of trees. So yeah, I'd say Zoo Tycoon has aged decently, with the biggest issue being how picky the animals are. Yeah, there was also a DS version. I'm not going to talk about this game because it's quite literally Zoo Tycoon but watered down. They only have animals from the base game in addition to the orangutan and the Asian elephant, but they also remove Triceratops because why not? Pretty much the only notable thing about this version is that it features 2 exclusive animals, the Asian wild donkey, the onager, and the possibly extinct cow Capri. Other than that, not much else to say there. In 2004, we were given Zoo Tycoon 2, baby! And oh man, what an improvement! But I'll get to that later. First and foremost, while the first game was sprite-based, this game is in 3D. You can also play as a zookeeper now, with you being able to clean animals and refill the food yourself. You can still hire zookeepers, of course, since running the whole zoo by yourself would be pretty hard. However, the core gameplay's still the same. Keep your guests and animals happy, make sure they don't get out and eat the guests, because that would be bad. Also, herbivores can attack now. Yes! Also, there's now more small animals. I guess because of sprite sizes in the last game, it would have been difficult to have anything smaller than a person, but now we have 3D models and a wider viewing field, so that's not an issue anymore. So, the animals appearing in the series Leap to 3D are African elephant, American beaver, Bengal tiger, black rhino, cheetah, chimp, common peafowl, common zebra, dromedary camel, emperor penguin, gemsbok, giant panda, greater flamingo, grizzly bear, hippopotamus, ibex, jaguar, lion, moose, mountain gorilla instead of lowland gorilla, Nile crocodile instead of saltwater crocodile, okapi, ostrich, polar bear, red kangaroo, red panda, reticulated giraffe, getting specific now, ringtail lemur, snow leopard, and Thompson's gazelle. Now, this might seem like a downgrade from the first game at first, and yeah, there's definitely less animals overall. I think that just getting into 3D in the first place and making small animals was more of a priority, and I'm glad that was focused more on. Plus, they still have most zoo staples, so that's not really that big of a deal. You might have also noticed that, as I pointed out, some animals had replacements, like the crocodiles and gorillas. I don't get the gorilla replacement since pretty much every captive gorilla is a lowland gorilla. I don't even think mountain gorillas are in captivity. But yeah, that's just gonna be how it is throughout the game. There's gonna be some replacements. Also, I'm glad they trimmed the fat with subspecies, because that was kind of ridiculous in the previous game. So I'm glad there's only one tiger now, because I feel like having both was a bit overkill. White tigers are still in the game, but now they're a random variant instead of being their own selectable species. It took nearly a year before we got our first expansion pack, Endangered Animals, which adds animals that are endangered or threatened. You can also now make jeep tours and sky rails. As for the animals in this pack, we have the African wild dog, the American bison, Baird's tapir instead of Malayan tapir, reindeer, now named to caribou, crested gibbon, fennec fox, Florida panther instead of just panthers in general, Galapagos tortoise, sable antelope, now not a DLC they forgot to include in the compilation, gray wolf, which is a creature I'm surprised wasn't in the base game, Javan rhinos, koalas, Komodo dragons, markhors, orangutans, Przewalski's wild horse, Schmitter horned orcses, Spanish lynxes, spectacled bears, and wolverines. So yeah, a lot of the non-expansion pack animals were brought back in this pack. Is it scummy to remove something from the first game only to return it as DLC? Yes. And I think this may be the first example of this happening. Also, side note, but the Galapagos tortoise had a glitch where some copies it would cause the game to crash if it was placed in the game. Luckily, no copy I've ever had this glitch, so I guess I'm lucky or something. Anyway, a few months later, we got African Adventure, which adds African animals, which includes aardvarks, African buffalo, African spored tortoise, Barbary apes, bongo antelope, caracals, Ethiopian wolves, gelatas, gurnuk antelopes, mandrills, Maasai giraffes, which can actually breed with the reticulated giraffe, which makes sense since they're literally the same animal, just basically a different breed, like dogs, or something like that. I forget exactly how giraffe breed works, but whatever. Meerkats, Nile monitors, pygmy hippos, the ratel, aka the honey badger, secretary birds, striped hyenas instead of spotted, which is an interesting choice, warthogs, white rhinos, and wildebeest. Not much to say of this pack, it was basically only focused on animals. The next thing to come out was the Zookeeper collection, but that was just a compilation of the first 3 packs, and it didn't do anything, so I'm not talking about it. The next pack was Dino Dangers, but I'm going to talk about that later when we get to its big brother. So the next thing to note is Marine Mania, which, much like the pack from the first game, allows you to make tanks to house aquatic life forms, and once again you can make shows of some animals. A lot of the more fantastical choices like giant squid and baleen whales are gone, and in general this pack seems to be going for more realism, like stuff you'd actually find at an aquarium. The animals this time are belugas, blacktip reef sharks, blue marlin replacing the swordfish, bottlenose dolphin, California sea lion, false killer whale, goblin shark, green sea turtle, leatherback sea turtle, narwhal, manta ray, orca, Pacific walrus, rockhopper penguin, scallop hammerhead instead of great hammerhead, sea otter, shortfin pilot whale, West Indian manatee, whale sharks, and great whites. Something to note about the whale shark is that it has a gimmick where when you buy it, it's actually a teenager and it eventually has to grow into its true size, which is interesting to say the least. Also, you don't need to put tanks in exhibits anymore. Now you can just adjust how deep the water is. Also, you can just dig a large hole of water to place aquatic creatures, but why would you do that? Then we got the final expansion pack, Extinct Animals, which adds extinct animals to the game, obviously. However, unlike Dinosaur Digs, this one goes for a more realistic approach, and as such, it focuses more on creatures from the Cenozoic. Whereas in the first game, dinosaurs were the main focus, and Cenozoic were like an afterthought, this time, dinosaurs are the bonus ones this time around. This pack is like an updated version of the Dino Danger pack, which only had 4 animals and was overall more like a weird DLC than a true pack in my opinion. Animals that were added in both that and this pack are the American Mastodon, Ankylosaurus, Aurochs, Bluebucks, Bush Antler Deer, Carnotaurus, Cave Lion, Deinonychus, which looks unfinished, Deinosuchus, covered in spikes for some reason, Dimetrodon, Diprotodon, Dodos, Doedicurus, dwarf Sicilian elephants, elephant birds, Titanoteloptus, the giant camel, Megatherium, which just looks awful, Metriodocurus, the giant warhog, Gigantopithecus, Kentrosaurus, Protarchaeopteryx, Smilodon, short-faced bears, Cibotheriums, Stegosaurus, Stogosaurus, Styracosaurus, Thylacine, Triceratops, T-Rex, of course, Utahraptor, Velociraptor, Wara, and the woolly rhino. Yeah, most of the first game's dinos were either cut or replaced. No Triassic dinosaurs, no Apatosaurus or any sauropod, no aquatic animals, and Allosaurus was replaced by Stogosaurus as the Morrison formation theropod for some reason. The role of the bird-like dinosaur has gone from Cardiopteryx to Protarchaeopteryx, and no woolly mammoth, despite the creature on the cover clearly being a mammoth and not a mastodon. What the heck? Also with this pack comes 2 unlockable animals. First is the quagga, which you get by releasing every creature in this pack into the wild. And second is the fictional killer penguin. Let me explain. You see, in the first game, due to emperor penguins being considered carnivores, they were able to kill large herbivores despite being penguins. So in this game, the killer penguin was created as a joke that references this. It's capable of killing literally every animal in the game. Also, it's from Madagascar. No prize for guessing what they were referencing there. Thankfully, with dinosaurs, you can actually adopt adults this time instead of having to wait for them to grow up. However, in every mode except free play, you first have to unlock the creatures in this pack first before you can use them. You do this by looking for their fossils and then reassembling them. Because I guess every country on Earth has every species in this game, apparently. Anyway, you find them, you revive them, and if you score a perfect score, you get a super animal, which lives longer, is larger, and in general is just a more superior version, hence the name. But if you fail, you either get a dud animal like squirrels or bullfrogs, which aren't true animals, they're just placeable decorations, really, or you get the killer penguin. Also, some of the larger dinosaurs have a thing called rampage mode, where they'll go on a rampage and destroy everything in their path unless they're tranked and put back in their cage. Finally, there were 4 DLC animals released that were not part of any expansion pack. You got the Asian elephant, muskox, addax, and black leopards. Yeah, there's no regular colored leopards in this game, you only got the Black Panther ones for some reason. In addition, there's also the elusive Asian black bear. You see, this guy was only available if you had both Zoo Tycoon 2 for PC and Zoo Tycoon 2 for mobile devices. However, since that shut down, there's no way to get the bear besides mods nowadays. So yeah, Zoo Tycoon 2, and in my opinion, this is like the definition of a game that improves on what its predecessor sets up. First off, the animals are far, far less picky, and you don't have to make sure they have a specific amount of rocks to keep them happy, which I'm thankful for since I did not like the rocks in the first game. And in general, the game just has more quality of life features, like how you have unlimited money in free play, or how in that mode, everything is unlocked by default of having to wait like the first game. Is there anything I think the first game did better? Honestly, I do wish they kept some of the more out there animals from the first game. For example, I do think the first game had a better Marine Mania selection, and the fact that the giant anteater and spotted hyena were scrapped is stupid, since those are common zoo animals. What was the issue with them? Luckily, though, this game has an active modding community to this day, and there's a mod called the Forgotten Animal Pack that's working on adding back in all the animals that were left out, and making sure they're in the style of what the game is, unlike other mods which add the most realistic creatures possible, which just, don't like that. Updates are pretty slow, but they have a large chunk of the animals. They have all the base game animals, including the 2 animals exclusive to the DS version. The only Marine Mania animals they don't have yet are the tentacled ones, which makes sense, since those seem like they'd be a nightmare to program, so I don't think we'll get them for a while. And Dinosaur Digs is about halfway complete, but they got most of the big ones like Woolly Mammoth, Spinosaurus, and Allosaurus. But if they're still not done yet, most of these other animals have other mods for them. Except for the tentacled ones, since like I said, they seem like they'd be a nightmare to program. So yeah, Zoo Tycoon 2. Definitely a step in the right direction. Oh yeah, there was also a DS version of this game. It's mostly has base game animals of a few from the expansion packs. But rather notably, this game does feature the Unicorn and Yeti, which were cut from the PC version. So if you ever wanted to know what they'd look like in Zoo Tycoon 2, here you go. Our next stop is World of Zoo, a spin-off game made by the same developers, and released for Wii, DS, and PC. But do not get the PC version. For some reason, this version only has like 4 or 5 animals. So yeah, don't get the PC version, it's basically a scam. Anyway, the real version of this game, the Wii version, features 11 groups, with several species or subspecies to add. First thing to note about this game is that it's not really a tycoon. You don't build anything and you never see any guests. This game is focused entirely on the animals, with it taking place in a first person perspective while you keep animals happy and make them make hearts so you can level up and unlock more stuff for the animals. The 11 groups featured in this game are big cats, crocodilians, monkeys, horses, antelope, giraffes, elephants, koalas, penguins, bears, and pandas, which I guess are a different animal. With these animals, you can customize them, like as I said, changing their species, coloration, personality, things like that. As for my thoughts on this game, it's boring. Seriously, this game is one of the most mind-numbingly boring games I've ever played in my life. Pretty much every creature behaves exactly the same. There's little variety of what you can do with them. All you can do is feed them, throw them a ball, clean up their poop, which freaks them out and makes them not go near you. All while you grind hearts at a snail's pace. So yeah, not a fun game at all, not much to say. There's also the DS version, which is mostly the same, but some animals had their subspecies removed, and zebras and antelope were combined into the same exhibit. But most notably, they added canines, which also includes a spotted hyena, which isn't a dog, and in-game, it's just a recolored wolf, which looks awful. In 2011, the original developers, Blue Fang, went defunct, leaving the future of this franchise in question. In 2013, Microsoft ended up teaming up with a studio called Frontier Developers to make a reboot of the game for Xbox 360 and Xbox One. This is the Xbox Zoo Tycoon, and oh man, what a swing and a miss. This game was not received well at all by fans of the PC game, with the biggest issue being the animal selection sucks. There's only 9 groups of animals you can have as main exhibit animals, with a few mini exhibits that don't really do anything. With the 9 main animals, we got lions, tigers, bears, elephants, rhinos, hippos, giraffe, antelope, and chimps. And for the mini exhibits, you have lemurs, capuchins, binturogs, red pandas, sloths, mongoose, meerkats, fusa, iguanas, snakes, monitor lizards, tortoises, flamingos, peafowl, and macaws. You might have noticed this game is very much lacking in terms of species diversity. I mean, besides tigers and bears, literally every main animal is one associated with Africa. And there's no zebras for some reason, which is like the most common zoo staple I can think of. And the exhibit animals, they're a little better, but it's still pretty lacking. But the bigger issue here in this game is that they are way too specific with the animals. Look, you don't even care about subspecies in the real world most of the time, so here, I think it's even more stupid. Have you ever played Zoo Tycoon and thought, oh man, I want rhinos in my zoo, but it's too limiting. I can only select between black and white rhinos. I mean, how is this fun if I can't select between central black rhinos or eastern black rhinos? But no, there's only one black rhino in this game, so now I'm sad. No one has ever said that, but apparently this game is made to appeal to those non-existent people. 4 years later, we got an updated version called the Ultimate Animal Collection, which added in Australian and South American animals. That's an improvement, I guess, but that doesn't handle the main issue I have with this game, which is that this game is way too handholdy. In this game, all exhibits are bought pre-built, and you basically just decide what animals and decorations go into them. The fact that this game barely has any creativity with exhibit building is this game's fatal flaw for me, and makes me unable to recommend this game. So, the Zoo Tycoon franchise is basically dead, but like a lot of nostalgic games, someone decided to make a game to act as a spiritual successor. In 2019, we got Planet Zoo, made by the same people who made the Xbox game. This game was a follow-up to Planet Coaster, which was a spiritual successor to another beloved Zoo Tycoon game, Roller Coaster Tycoon. This game is basically like an HD version of Zoo Tycoon 2, in that it's in 3D and you can walk up to the animals, so this time you can't take care of them yourself in this mode. I'm not going to list all the animals in this game since there's a lot of them and it keeps getting updated, but just know that this game is like the perfect blend of animals. No stupid subspecies, better diversity of continents, and you can have small animals in real exhibits this time. There's still exhibit exclusive animals, but they're a lot more understandable since they're things like bugs or frogs. You know, things that are often in mini enclosures at traditional zoos anyway. This game is still being updated to this day and has had several expansion packs. Currently, there's the Deluxe upgrade, which just adds more animals in general without a specific theme. Arctic Pack, which adds Arctic animals. South American Pack, which adds South American animals. Australian Pack for Australian animals. Aquatic Pack, which adds semi-aquatic animals. There's no fully aquatic animals in this game yet. Southeast Asia Animal Pack, which adds animals from Southeast Asia, countries like Indonesia or Vietnam, places like that. Africa Pack, which has African animals. North American Pack, which has North American animals. Europe Pack, which has European animals. Wetland Pack, which has swamp animals. Conservation Pack, which adds endangered animals. Twilight Pack, which adds nocturnal animals. Grassland Pack, which adds plains animals. Tropical Pack, which adds animals from tropical regions. And currently, the newest pack is the Arid Pack, which adds desert animals. This game has an active fandom that's always speculating on what the next pack will be, and currently, I'm one of those people who wants an island life pack. That's just me, though. Honestly, the thing I want most is fully aquatic animals, but I feel like that's not going to happen unless we get like a planet aquarium or something. Oh yeah, there's also Prehistoric Kingdom, but that's more like a successor to Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, and it's not even technically out yet, so I'm not talking about it. Anyway, I really enjoy Planet Zoo. I like how frequently it gets updated, and the animal animations are very nice. But I do have some criticisms. For one, and I'm pretty sure this is the criticism most people have, the roads are weirdly hard to place down. Seems like you can never just lay down a straight line of them like you could in the Zoo Tycoon games. Instead, the paths are always curving slightly, and it's impossible to make a straight line, it seems. Ugh. Also, some things are unnecessarily complicated. Like, I don't like how you need power sources. And heaters and coolers are an annoying thing when I just want to add tundra animals. I get it's for realism, but there are some times where realism just feels like a drag. So, which do I like better, this or Zoo Tycoon 2? Honestly, it's hard to say. They have things over each other that make them pretty equal in my mind, so I'll get back to you on that. Well, that's my opinions on the Zoo Tycoon franchise. If you want to play these games, kind of depends on the game. Zoo Tycoon 1 was only released on CD and has never had a digital upload, so unless you still have a computer with a CD player, there's no way to play it legally. Zoo Tycoon 2 is not on Steam, but for some reason it is available digitally on Amazon. Yeah, you buy the game, then it downloads without the need of a disc. I I don't get it either. World of Zoo was only released on Wii, the real version. The PC version cuts most of the animals. What the heck? Ugh. Zoo Tycoon on Xbox is only for Xbox. And as for Planet Zoo, it can be a bit pricey since with all the expansion packs, it can cost a few $100s, but it's a Steam game. They go on sale all the time, and when it does, it's usually only slightly more expensive than the average game to get everything. So yeah, that's the Zoo Tycoon series. Thanks for watching, and thanks so much for 150 subscribers. You guys mean so much to me. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.